Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
This video contains content that is not suitable for all audiences. Some of the information in the following video could be shocking to some viewers and is likely to cause unexpected reactions. This video is for educational purposes only and does not break any of YouTube's policies as outlined in their community guidelines. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in, friends. Happy Wednesday. Well, we all survived the solar flares. We are streaming live. Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Please share, like, and subscribe. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us. Good evening, everybody. Lee, Tammy, Rue, Michelle, everybody, come on in. Welcome. I hope you all are having a great week. And you're going to hear all the birds in the background. I think at dusk, where I'm at, the birds just get really active. I don't know what it is, but I hope you don't mind the birds and the wildlife and just kind of here. You are streaming live tonight with your host, Joni Skinner, and welcome to True Crime Mysteries Beyond the Scenes, where we combine forensic astrology, mapping, charting, and work on missing person cases and cold cases and also mysteries. So welcome. And check out the R.I.F.T Nation Network all week for wonderful, different variety of shows. Check out our Facebook page, R.I.F.T Nation Network. You can get a list and information on all of our shows weekly, Sunday through Sunday. Actually, lots of shows are going on. So welcome. Come on in. Did everybody have a great Mother's Day? I hope so. Hello, Miss Kathy. How are you? Thank you, Renee, for sharing us out. Hello, Susan. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome. Well, it's been the wild week, especially astrologically. Astrologically, the solar flares didn't have anything to do with astrology, but there were some things that, we looked at astrology-wise, and we're like, well, that could be. Uranus is up to its tricks. So Keith and I had a big laugh about that on Monday night. I said, yeah, Jupiter and Uranus are conjunct. We got another big one coming. The biggest yet is here. Sure enough, that afternoon I was at work and it came across my feed on my phone. The biggest one just hit. I sent it to Keith and I said, there's Uranus. Doug, aka Doug. We laugh. I hope everybody is doing well too, Mr. Hitman Odell. Hope all are doing well, travelers and those alike. I know, and I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day weekend. And, it seems like, at least in this portion of the country, our tornado alley is a little bit calmer, which Jupiter and Uranus are separating. Uranus is all natural disasters. So when that separates, I think we can calm down a little bit. So let's hope that happens, because I'll tell you, being in those storms, it's nerve wracking. It's very nerve wracking. So I hope everybody's ready for a good show tonight. This is a good show. I think it can affect all of us in a way, because of I get it, Tammy, because of the fact online dating is so prevalent now. Except the allergies, the mold is high. It is here too. We're going to start to battle the cicada death and the demon bugs, and then allergies. It's that time of year. I just took an allergy pill. So if I start nodding off, you guys start. It's the sinuses. I know. The show tonight, this was interesting when I saw this case. Online dating, of course, I read the headline, and this, she was scammed. This woman was scammed out of $1.5 million, which that's a lot of retirement money. That's a lot of money. And she came up missing. So we're going to get into her case, because the more I dug into this case, I always thought, well, when people get scammed out of money, it's horrific. But there's another layer to it that we really don't hear too much about, that when the people get scammed, they get in so deep with the person that they think they're in love with, they start to do criminal activity and basically become mules, like scammer mules. And I didn't realize that happened. I had no idea. I thought, well, you'd lose your money, you contact the authorities, and they're kind of like, well, there's not a lot we can do. But, there's questions regarding Laura Kowal's life. And did she commit an unalive, self-inflicted? And, that's the S word. Or was it more nefarious? Well, we're going to look at the astrology, and I think things were a little bit more nefarious. And her daughter, and this started in 2018, her daughter has now quit her job and goes around and actually speaks to groups regarding the dangers that can also occur with online dating. So I think when we're online dating, if we are, I'm not, I screwed it up once and got in all kinds of trouble with it, but I think there's things that we got to be very, very careful about. I think there's enough red flags that have been put out that people are a little bit more leery and we're a little bit more aware. But this is just so, I think this is a very atypical story that could happen to anybody. I think it could happen to all of us. So let's dive in. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Wait till you hear this story, because it's not out in, I don't see it. I haven't seen much of this out. CBS just did a show on this, and it's very interesting. This is an interesting story. And the lady that we're talking about, her name is Laura Kowal, and she was a retired hospital executive from Chicago. She became widowed, and in 2018, she moved to a little place called Galena, Illinois. And this is Galena, Illinois. It's west of Chicago, where she could have activities, live the quiet life, retire. What a beautiful place to retire to. She became a widow. Her husband of 24 years passed away from cancer, and she was 57 years old, and told her daughter, I'm going to start online dating. I think it's safer than meeting somebody at a bar. Now, I don't know about that, because when you do meet somebody at a bar, you actually can have them, you can check them out. You know, you know who they are within the neighborhood. People will know them. Howie says, I know I get hit by a woman who was married, but hit it really well. She lived miles away. I finally gave up and drove to where she was, and bam, found out. That was in the late 90s. So, and that's a good point too, Howie, because it also happens to men. So not only could this online dating scam happen to women, although sometimes I think women are a little bit more vulnerable to fall for the love, and I don't know. I think, like, you went and checked her out and found out. I just, it happens to women and men. And so what Laura did is she decided to get on a dating website, and she started a relationship online with a gentleman who claimed he was a self-described Swedish investor, and she was an investor as well. This was an executive. She was a retired executive, and she was very familiar with the financial end of everything. And she was a bright woman. And he stated that he was a widow as well. He had one child as well. He wanted to get started back into the dating scene, and worked out of Chicago, but also was like a dual citizen over in Sweden, and traveled extensively. So her daughter, Kelly, in a podcast, stated that she was very leery of this situation. So her mother spoke about him, but not a lot. She didn't dig into it a lot. And her mother at times would say, well, I'm going to Chicago. And Kelly thought, okay, she knows this guy. She knows Frank. She's meeting up with him. And then Kelly said, looking back on it, she's not, of course, she never met this guy. So they pursued their relationship. But I also found out this is not unique. And the statistics are mind-boggling. $1.14 billion last year was scammed out of people from money scams. $1.4 billion was scammed. And, there are a lot of avenues that you can get, and I have them on the end of the show, of what you can do if you are scammed and who to contact. And I included those. But what happened is these individuals have become very, very good. They go in and they they steal photographs. Come to find out, the photograph that this Frank scammer used was a physician from Chile. Kelly stated that her mother's money ended up in China. The emails were actually coming from Ghana. And this is still under investigation with the U.S. Postal Service. But because the money is in China, they will probably never recoup any of her mother's $1.5 million. So what had happened on that particular day, Kelly didn't know any of this scamming was going on. She received a phone call 2 years later from the U.S. Postal Service that stated, we feel your mother is involved in a suspicious activity where she's being scammed. She went into the information with Kelly, and it was a voicemail on Kelly's phone. So Kelly contacted her mother, and her mother said, oh, I will take care of this. It's a mix-up or whatever. I'll take care of it. So Kelly didn't think anything of it. And then she stated, come to find out, she had access to one of her mother's accounts and did see a large sum of money. But because her mother was in the financial business, she didn't think anything of it. Her mother knew finances. And so her mother said, well, I moved it to another account, and Kelly didn't think anything of it. So if you can see the picture, the photo on the top left, that is the photo that was used by the scammers. So what happened is Laura was out with her neighbor on an afternoon, and they were going to go have lunch. Now, Laura overheard her Laura's neighbor, who was going to go to lunch with her that afternoon, heard Laura talking loudly to somebody on the phone. And they were supposed to have lunch that afternoon. Laura texted her neighbor and said, I'm sorry, something has come up. I have to cancel my plans. That's the last time anybody saw her, heard from her. But her neighbor told Kelly that she was talking very loud with someone, but did not overhear the conversation. So Kelly put 2 and 2 together with, she kept trying to call her mother, She finally called the Postal Service number back, got the information, panicked, went to her mother's home. Well, she got into the home. Her mother's car was gone, but her mother always took care of her dog. And her dog, she knew that if her mother didn't come home by 5 o'clock to feed the dog, something had gone wrong. So 5 o'clock came and went, no mother. She didn't hear from her mother. It went straight to her voicemail, nothing. So she called the police and filed a missing police report. And this was on Friday, August 7th, 2020. Okay. So by now, mother is gone. She's missing. Kelly starts to go through mom's emails, all this love and all this stuff coming in and out from this so-called scammer. She started to see all the money wires. So Kelly started to uncover all the money and all the information. She then found a handwritten note from her mother stating, I tried to get out of this, but I may end up dead. And it was a handwritten note that was kind of hidden in a desk drawer. So by now, Kelly is frantic. So, hi, Miss Linda. So what occurred is, there he is. There's the scammer's photo that he kept sending to her. Scam. So I did a chart. And what happened is they found her car approximately 170 miles away south from her home. Then on August the 9th, in the Mississippi River, a couple was fishing. They found Laura's body floating in the river. Medical examiners ruled it an unalive intentionally, where she had done it to herself. However, there were so many questions that were not answered. And the people that found her body tried to get in touch with Kelly. They tried desperately to get in touch with Kelly, because they said not only did they find one person, which was Laura, there were actually 2 women in the river. The first person was not Laura. It was another woman. And they said, we can't get her. We're in the boat. We're headed towards these things that go under the water, kind of like a little dam thing. Let's go upriver. Hopefully she'll come out and we'll call the police. Well, what happened is they go up to wait for this other floating person, and they run into the body of Laura. So there are 2 people now that this one couple has found floating in the water. The other body has never been found, but they did indeed find Laura. So Kelly did a lot of investigating on her own. Of course, the police have said it was accidental. They found her car 20 miles north at a boat ramp from where they found her in the Mississippi River. So I didn't really have a good timestamp to do a chart. But you know what, you guys? As always, the charts speak volume. Excuse me, Ruru, weigh in on this chart too, because I didn't have a good timestamp. So if you see something in here, Rue, holler in the chat. Okay, we're going to take a look at. I'm going to look at this at this chart. This is the chart that I used for 12:15, and I guessed at the time that the neighbor overheard her talking loudly on the phone. And sure enough, we go over and look to the left at the number 1 house, and it's Libra. So we're going to look for, of course, Venus and the moon. That would represent Laura. And I wrote Laura's name. She's in the 7th house and up at the 10th house. I know, Rue, I used whole sign on this by mistake. Rue's catching my mistake on the chart. She's like, wait, what is that? But we'll just use the whole sign, Rue. So I looked at it, and if you have an event chart, you guys, unalive, intentional, when it's done by a person to hurt themselves, Uranus is in the 8th house. So that caught my eye. But wait a minute, it was noon. So what does that, Uranus to unalive, and you do it to yourself. Uranus in the 8th house and Neptune in the 12th house can indicate a suicide. But she was going to lunch. She was at home. Well, sure enough, we look at the 4th house, which designates the home. We look at the perp. The perp, she's talking to somebody she knows. Look, Mercury on the phone with the perp. She knew him. But it's a little tricky because at the home, we've got scandal, 6th house. Something isn't right in this chart. Now, remember with some of these charts, you can start to get what we call a death pattern. I think this is a death pattern starting. I don't know about you, Rue, but I think it's a death pattern starting. So that one kind of, I kind of got a little puzzled on the lunch one. So I thought, okay, let's go to the 5 o'clock one. Let's go to the 5 o'clock time, because that's the time the daughter said my mom never missed being home with the dog at 5 o'clock. So again, and I've said it almost every show, when we don't have an exact timestamp, I can't say the charts are 99% accurate. Only when there's an exact timestamp and we're positive of it, will I put down money and say, I'll bet $50 that this is where that person is. But when we don't have it, it's kind of a crapshoot. When you say, Rue, it's a guessing game. The 5 o'clock chart gave me a little bit more information, as you can tell as I wrote on it. Now, the 5 o'clock chart shows us 117 miles. Well, 170 miles, that's where the car was. The car was, they found her 200 miles away from home. 20 to 30 miles away north was her car. So that's 170 miles. So I thought, ooh, I'm getting close. At a boat ramp, that's the 5th house where people like to go. People enjoy that. I thought, okay, we're hitting now. And look at that. The 2nd house is lit up, which is money. This was a money scam. Look at that. Laura is in the 2nd house, represented by Jupiter. So it's money. It's a lot of chaos, remains with Saturn. And look at that. At the boat dock is where probably the violence occurred with Mars. The perp is up at the 9th house. And look at that. 2 people were involved because it's Gemini. So there's 2 people that I would say were the perps. So that's kind of what I got from that chart. I got a little bit more that I would be safe to say that looks more like she was at that boat dock around 5:15, and that's a really good educated guess. I'd like to know what you think about that, Rue, too, about that. So I thought, well, I'm going to map it. You know how we map things. And if you can see down at the left part of that chart, my numbers and the math on there, that's where I mathed it. That's where I used the numbers to use the bearings on Scribble Maps to do the lines. And that's how we do the mapping on the charts. So I thought, well, go ahead and map it. Now, this particular map was the map at 5 o'clock. And you can see I put a little car there for where that would be where her car was found. And the only thing that this chart really told us is the lines went back up to her house, which is by the blue dot. They went right back up to where she lived. So I don't know if the other people that may have been involved may live like in those other areas in Missouri, Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, Cedar Rapids, and those areas around the St. Louis area. Maybe there's some perps there. We just don't know. We don't have the answers because it's such a mystery. So then I mapped it again. And, you know, the maps were coming out very, very accurate, which was a little bit surprising to me because I guessed on the times. So I mapped it from her house. And sure enough, look at that line, took us right down to where her car was. So let's say, for example, they would not have found her, but I would have used the 12 o'clock time stamp that the neighbor saw her out in the driveway. There would have been a wedge where, and that's exactly where her car was. So I think that map is accurate. And then on the podcast, the girl, her daughter, Kelly, stated that she couldn't say a whole lot about the investigation, but a woman in Chicago had been arrested for some information regarding this case. And so there's a line that goes to Chicago, one goes to Appleton. And so, you know, I'm not quite sure about what happens. But then Kelly went on to state that her mother, Laura, became like a mule. She was going around and for this fake scammer guy, opening up fake online dating accounts. She went around and opened up fake bank accounts, was depositing money for him, wiring money. So Laura got in so deep that she was doing things illegally as a mule for this Paul guy who come to find out was a scammer. So she got in so deep that she could not get out. And that was, you know, and then she also found a box. Kelly found a box in her mother's home with a burner phone because you think, oh, let's look at her phone. She was using a burner phone. So she was in pretty deep, and perhaps she was getting in to recoup some of her money. We don't know what this character Paul said. So in other words, they ruled her death as a suicide. There is an ongoing investigation on it. Now, whether or not they're going to connect all the dots, who knows? Because apparently this is very prevalent, that this happens so much with online dating, scamming. And I think it's just terribly sad. It's just, I didn't realize it was as big and vast as it was. So here are some of the things that the Federal Trade Commission listed on their site. If you're on online dating, just slow down. Talk to someone you trust. Don't let a scammer rush you. Never, ever wire money. They also use gift cards. They also use gift cards. Never put money on a cash reload card, a gift cards, or send cash to an online love interest. You will never get it back. They use gift cards and they also use wire. And another thing that after I was doing a little research is they always try to get you off the dating site, and they want you to get on, regular email or WhatsApp or another app that they rush you. Oh, let's just talk directly. Contact your bank right away if you think you've sent money to a scammer, and report your experience to the online dating site. Federal Trade Commission is who you contact. FTC.gov complaint. And this is who Keith said that he knew about, is the IC3.gov, where you fill out a report. If you get scammed out of money, you go to this IC3 place. And there's a lot of good information out there regarding online dating to look at. Cyber criminal creates a fake profile to court people online. The relationship moves way too fast and trust is gained. And they ask their target for money, receives it, and they vanish. And like you said, they found out that she was getting emailed from Ghana. The money was going to China. And here they had stolen this guy's profile picture. They say they're far away. Their profile seems too good to be true. The relationship is moving too fast. They break promises to see you, ask for money, and require specific payment methods. I mean, I know love is pretty blind, though. I'll tell you, it's pretty scary, isn't it? So that is the story. That's Laura's story. I thought it was interesting just to really highlight her story because I thought it was unusual, very sad. And, $1.5 million. She worked her entire life for her retirement and just wanted a relationship and a companionship. But her daughter said she had such a wonderful life in this little town. She was social. She went out, she had clubs. She met her friends. She had friends, but I guess it just didn't do what a relationship would do. And Gail says, if only they used their talents for the good. Isn't that the truth, Gail? What wise words. I mean, it's just such a shame to be swindled out of your retirement money. And I guess the first thing is if they want you to wire money, that's the first thing. No, I don't know. It scares me. Online dating terrifies me anymore. 10% of online dating accounts are fake. I think it's higher. I think it's much higher. We can see the fake accounts just on Facebook. You can see the fake accounts just on Facebook when they hit you up in your messenger all the time. And you just know it. I mean, it happens on Facebook all the time. I guess they just can't keep up with them. I don't know. But does anybody want to add anything into the chat about that particular story? Rue, what do you think about the chart? I didn't really know what else to do without a good timestamp, But I think the timestamps are pretty darn good for what we could come up with. I think it's interesting. And Tammy says she should have looked for a date at her church. Then again, you never know. I know. It's just so, hey, all something's going on, but got you shared out. Hey, Keithy, thanks. You're the bomb. We're talking about online dating, scamming, and then this poor woman actually ended up possibly losing her life. So, it's sad. But I like how her daughter, Kelly, has turned this into a positive and is going around and talking to groups and making it her mission. So, true, Tammy, true it is. And I like what Gail said. It's just so, online dating is frightening. I'm sure I've got a scammer sitting in my request for friends. Same pics with different names. Doctor, lawyer, military. I know, Michelle. I know. That's what they get. And it's always military, isn't it? Where you see a guy in the military. And I've talked to these people before and thought, oh, what am I doing? why am I talking to somebody like that? And I really have fallen for it. And then I go to their profile and I'm like, they have like 2 friends and they have like 1 picture. It's like, oh, no. So you got to be careful. I mean, and you're right, Michelle. They end up in your messenger. Different. They're always either a doctor, a lawyer, or in the military. I'll get the military ones. I think it's hilarious. I'm like, now we know. Now you just report their. I think just report their. Report them and block them. That's what I do now. Report them and block them. It is. There's a lot. It's ridiculous. It is. It is. I just report them and block them. And does anybody else got anything else on true crime community that they want to add? I know this week we've talked about the Harmony Montgomery case, which was so tragic up in the Boston area. And Adam Montgomery was sentenced last week. He did get life plus for the death of Harmony. The prosecutor asked him in court if he told them where we could find Harmony, that they would lessen his sentence, and he did not do it. So he's going to keep that bottled inside of him. He's not going to give out the information on little baby Harmony. And that's kind of what's going on in the true crime community. Sebastian Rogers is still missing. That drama is all over the web and social media constantly. I don't even really follow it anymore. Noah's case is really taken off. He has doubled. They have now come out with even more information on Noah. Remember the young handsome boy that was found on the highway? Now it seems like law enforcement is starting to get a little kick in the butt. And that's what happens when these cases get out in the true crime community and get viral. And that's what it takes. So they seem to be picking it up on that case. Gail says, make sure to go into your Facebook and see what you have been tagged in. Shocked me. I don't know how to do that. How do you do that? I can't even get on Facebook on one laptop. It won't let me on Facebook, but my other laptop, I can get on it. I am just not techie enough to know how to go in there and see what I've been tagged on. How do you do it, Gail? Tell us. I don't think any of us know how to do that, do we? What could we be? I don't know what I'm tagged in. I don't even want to know. It would scare me. I don't know. And I think that's it Kathy said it's unbelievable. I know so many women that got scammed on Facebook. It's tragic. Kathy, and give them that information to fill out that report. Keith said it too, the IC3 with the FBI. At least fill out the report. That it wouldn't hurt. I don't either. I have to Google it and find out. Make sure to go into your Facebook and see what you have been tagged in. Okay. I'm afraid to. But if you do know people that have been scammed, it's the IC3 at FBI.gov. If you know somebody that's been scammed, IC3.gov, FBI. So if you know somebody, Kathy, just have them fill out that report and see if, I think the more we report it and get the word out there, because I think what's frightening is that once you're scammed and you get in so deep, you literally can become mules for these people. And then you yourself find yourself in trouble. And the woman that was implicated in this case from Chicago is looking at some very serious jail time. And she didn't really know what she was getting into. They go around and they think these men love them. They go around and they open up bank accounts in a different name. That's illegal. Wiring money all over the place. So they are literally mules, scammer mules. I told several not to travel to their country. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just be careful. I say date people within your community, do things that are that you like, and go to events, go to meetings, go to the library, go to church. I'd rather go to your little neighborhood bar. Gail says, in your profile, there's a spot where you can click and see what you have been tagged in. I'll send you a screenshot. Okay. I'm kind of afraid to look, but we'll post it next week too. I would just go to my neighborhood. I think go back to the neighborhood bar. That's the safest. Does anybody have anything else they want to chat about in the chat? Oh, I do have one more thing. Thank you all for May 11th. We had the class with Silver Wolf with Donna at Donna's shop. It was so much fun. It was phenomenal. I loved it. It was a great class. They put up with me for 2 hours, nonstop talking. We didn't even take breaks. And one time I thought Keith was sleeping, and he was actually really diligently taking notes. And so it was just a wonderful, wonderful class. If you are interested in starting your foundation into basic astrology, we're doing another class June 22nd. PM me on Facebook, and I'll get you on the list and get information. We've got about 5 slots maybe left, I think. 5 or 6 slots left on the video class. So really get me your name so I can sign you up. That's June 22nd. And yeah, Linda will be there at the June 22nd show with her granddaughter. So I'm so excited to see Miss Linda and Miss Michelle. Michelle will be in that class as well, Linda. Miss Michelle will be there too. Michelle will be in that class as well. So I had a great time. Everybody said it was a good class. I hope so. Hope they did learn. They learned how to do a natal chart. So really, it was a fun class. It was a lot of material, but I think we kept it easy to where you weren't just so, I don't know what the word is, but just too overwhelmed. And so that's what's going on June 22nd. Does anybody else have any announcements they want to put in the chat for all of us for next week? Anybody? And if anybody's got a case they want me to look at, please send it to me. Like Michelle sent me that one case that I'd love to go to the beach for a week and sit down with that case, Michelle, and really take hours and hours to really dig in deep to a Is there a reply for that? Is there a reply for that? For what, hon? Is there a reply for what? I don't know. But I think that if there's anybody has a case they want me to look at, or find a case that's interesting that you want me to look at and look at the astrology, please send it to me. I'd love to look at it. If not, we'll have another case next week. I think that's about it for this week, unless anybody's got any other announcements for the group. Tammy is having a fundraiser for her search and rescue, right, Tammy? And we go to Tammy Johnson's Facebook page for her search and rescue fundraiser and replay for the first case. No, there is not. There is not. We did not tape it, Gail. So, but if you can sign up, and we do it via Zoom, and I taught the class at the shop. Donna's shop, she's got a little shop called Silver Wolf Treasures and Gifts, and it's here in Cincinnati area. She's got the best vibe at her shop, which it was a great vibe. The Zoom connection was phenomenal. We didn't have one glitch, and I was worried because it was during the solar flare. So we did it on Zoom. It was a perfect connection. So it would be via Zoom. So, but if you're interested, Gail, just PM me and I'll tell you about it and get you signed up. And Tammy Johnson, what is there a site for everybody to check out your fundraiser for search and rescue? Your Facebook page. Okay, cool. Yeah, absolutely, Gail. Just hit me up tomorrow, and I'll send you the flyer. It was a great class. We had a great time, and it's basic. It's the foundation to get you started. So it's planets, houses, natal chart. I send everybody their very own natal chart, and we interpret. Everybody gets their own natal chart, and we interpret it during the class. So it's a very fun, hands-on class. That's what I liked. No site yet. Okay, so as soon as you get that site, let us know, Miss Tammy. But her fundraiser will be on her Facebook page, Tammy Johnson. Check that out. I think that's it for this week, you guys. Have a great week. If anybody else doesn't have anything else to say, be careful. And if you're online dating, please be careful. Please, please be careful. If not, have a super week. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday at 8 p.m. for another True Crime Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. Have a great week. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in.